Welcome back to Cosmoholics Anonymous. I am your favorite new mama of 2 bougie vintage, and today's video is a story time. This is my labor and delivery story. Obviously, I gave birth a while ago. It's been about 2 months. I feel like the least amount of time I take to talk about it, the less emotional I'll be about it. So I just want to kind of let you guys know what happened and why I kind of shied away from even telling it to begin with, because the experience was quite traumatizing. And of course, you will get to see actual footage of the birth. You're not going to see my hoo-ha, okay? That's not a thing. But you will see actual vlog footage of me giving birth and what was happening during the birth or during labor. I guess I can start with talking about how I was predicting that my child was going to be born on the 6th of May because I kept having dreams of Meek Mill. And so she was born almost on the 6th. She was born on the 5th. But I was actually in control of when she was going to come, because I knew that in order to get her to come, I had to have sex or she was not going to come. And it got to the point where I was tired of waiting for her to come naturally, like on her own. So I threw that ass back, okay? And I obviously made Shooter skeet, and I knew that would send me into labor. I should actually start telling this story, and I'm sorry if I'm jumping all over the place, but I should actually start telling this story from the point from a couple days before I went into labor. So what happened was I had actually I called my midwife, because the problem with having a midwife versus having an OB is if you feel anything is wrong with you, you have to call your OB first. You cannot just show up at the hospital. So basically what happened was I was going off things that happened in my last pregnancy. So with Salem, I basically was leaking fluid, and the hospital told me, okay, you need to come in because we need to make sure that it's not fluid. If it is fluid, then we're gonna have to induce you. Based on that, I kept having like these leaks, and so I thought it might be amniotic fluid because it didn't smell like urine. So when that happened, I called my midwife. My midwife, of course, was on vacay, so I got my secondary midwife. A third midwife, so somebody that was neither my first nor secondary, met me at the birthing center and checked my cervix and stuff to make sure that I wasn't leaking fluid. She said, nope, you're not leaking. I was a little bit dilated, so she said, you know, chances are you'll have your baby by this weekend. So I'm vlogging this first part on my phone because my memory cards are all packed right now, and I'm not in the mood. So I think I'm going to get induced today. It's not a guarantee, but I would prefer to be not pregnant right now. This is my stomach. I weigh less than I did with Salem, but I am also not full 40 weeks. I am 39 weeks and 3 days. My baby's due in 4 days. So I'm gonna have a nice bath before I go. So we have this lovely mineral soak, and this mineral soak, I got it at Marshall's. It was $12.99, and it is with green tea and rose petals. It smells amazeballs. Before I go to the hospital and bust it wide open to get this baby out. Yeah, that hurts my back.
Sorry. We'll be done.
And I feel like I'm leaking.
Okay. Okay, so now I got a little bit of gel on my face. You're gonna feel gel. You're gonna feel touch on your labia first, okay?
Okay.
Let your knees even go a little bit wider. Super. You ready?
I guess.
Okay. So you're gonna feel just touch first, Sabrina.
Okay.
Touch on the
Yeah.
inside. When you're ready, take a really big breath in. Good, and then let it go. You're gonna feel pressure from the speculum. Keep breathing. Take a deep breath if you need to. cervix looks closed. I'm just kind of moving the mucus away.
Okay.
Can you give me another cough? Great. Sorry, that might feel weird. Trying to get in the back there. I don't think your water's broken.
Okay.
So pressure, sorry, out, done.
Okay.
Good work. A little bit here on the swab. Done.
Okay.
Push back up.
I don't know if I can. Oh.
Oh, did you drop the phone? I'll get it in there. So, it didn't change color at all. But there's lots of mucus.
What does that mean?
It just is normal. It's called leukorrhea. It's like,
I think I read about that.
here. It's like creamy
Oh.
discharge. Super normal. It's coming out of your cervix.
Okay.
It's a normal thing. It's probably your body kind of starting to think that it's getting ready. But your cervix is closed. It's long. It like looks.
And so, of course, I was upset. I cried. I was like, oh, I just want this baby out of me. And that was probably like 3 or 4 days before I went into actual labor. So then, I think 2 days after that, again, I thought I was leaking fluid because it didn't smell like urine. So I called my midwife, and I could tell she didn't really want to meet up with me. Like, I could tell that she felt like it was a false alarm. So the reason why I kept calling was because I was GBS positive again. So that's what happened with the first pregnancy. So when you're GBS positive, if you have a leak, they have to induce you because it can be a problem for the baby. So I was hoping that I had a leak so that they would induce me and get the baby out, because I was so freaking tired of being pregnant. Once you're pregnant, you've been pregnant for a while and you're at your 40-week mark, you're like, get this baby out of me fucking right now, because it's just so much on your body. You're getting super anxious. You have so much building up inside of you, and you just want your baby in your arms. Like, there's just so many things going on. And so that's basically where I was with the pregnancy. And so, of course, I met up with her, and there was no leak, so I wasn't going to get rushed to the hospital to be induced. So then I was like, fuck this. Obviously, if I want this baby out of me, I'm going to have sex. Now, during pregnancy, your body and you have a lot of different hormones at a lot of different times. And so at one point in your pregnancy, like maybe second trimester, you might be really, really horny. But then in the very beginning of your pregnancy, you might not want to even see your husband, touch him, like breathe on him. Like, the beginning and the end of the pregnancy is very similar that way, where you don't want anything to do with that. And so I was not turned on to like, I didn't want to have, but I knew that if I wanted to get the baby out, I had to have. So I was like, okay, it. This baby's coming out. Let me throw that ass back and then push this baby out. And that's exactly what happened. So we did the damn thing, and sure enough, 7:30 in the morning rolls around and I'm getting cramping like crazy. Basically, when you're in early labor, you're having contractions, and that's what I'm calling cramping. And it feels much like period pains. Now keep in mind, the first time that I went into labor, so with my first pregnancy, I was induced. So all of my contractions were basically synthetic, or they came because I was given Pitocin, which is the synthetic drug to create contractions for you. So I only knew I was in labor because of my first experience. I would have just thought I was having cramping. I don't know what I would have thought actually if I didn't have the experience the first time. And honestly, it's good that this was my second pregnancy, because if I had a midwife with my first pregnancy and all this stuff happened, I think I would have been even more affected than I am now. Like I said, it's 7:30 in the morning. I text my mom. Okay, now I really lost my plug. This time there was a big glob of plug with a little bit of blood, thanks to the help of my husband, TMI. Lots of period-like cramps, and now I'm pooping. Mom, just gotta see how the day goes if the cramps intensify. But they're the type of cramps that make me shake my leg to alleviate the discomfort. At that point, I knew I was in labor, so I started to monitor my contractions. At 10:09 a.m., I messaged her again. I said, still cramping, feels like I'm on my period, but I've been sleeping, trying to get as much rest as possible because I knew I would need all the strength in the world to push the baby out, okay? That week, literally everybody came to witness the birth of this baby, but she decided she wasn't coming until everybody left, which I thought was hilarious. But anyway, I'm having contractions. 7:30 rolls around, I'm having contractions. 10 o'clock, I'm still having contractions. The problem was I was given a piece of paper that said that I need to follow the 5-1-1 rule. So contractions, 5 minutes apart, lasting 1 minute for a whole hour. Okay, so that was the rule that I needed to follow. The problem was my contractions were not following that. They were so sporadic, they were all over the place, but then sometimes for like half an hour they would be just that, but then it would just chill out. And then they would come back and they would be spaced out. All day I'm shaking my leg and everybody's telling me, call your midwife. I'm like, no, because she's gonna piss me off. She's gonna tell me that my contractions are not close enough together and I'm gonna get mad, so I'm not calling her. Because I already knew what the it was. I already knew that she was not trying to meet up with me again for another false alarm. The problem was, or the thing was, that I knew I was in labor because I've been in labor before. So the other times I called, I wasn't saying I think I'm in labor. I was saying I think I'm leaking fluid. So I think based on that, my midwife was like, here we go. Like, I felt like she was gonna have a here we go again attitude. I think if you're having a hospital birth, midwifery is not sensible. Like, it doesn't make sense. If you're gonna have a hospital birth, you might as well just go with an OB. But if you're gonna have a home birth, or if you're gonna have a water birth or a birth at a birthing center instead, then you would go with a midwife. So the day is continuing. Hours are going by. We're hanging out at the house. We're watching movies and stuff. And my contractions hurt so bad. And I'm shaking my leg, shaking my leg, shaking my leg. If you experience bad period cramps, this is like, it's like that, but like maximized times like 50,000. Okay? And so I'm trying to shake my leg to alleviate the pain, like I said. I look atrocious, but I don't care. It is Cinco de Mayo. I don't know what time it is, but I am contracting like a mother effer. Ain't no Braxton Hicks today. It is actually, why is it so blurry? It's actually like live contractions to where I can barely talk when it's happening. Feels like period cramps have been going on since like 7:30 this morning. So I think today's the day. It's supposed to be tomorrow by my prediction, and it actually would be, but I did something last night to make it happen today, so technically, baby B, I'm rushing her out, so, girl, we'll see what happens, but I'm just waiting for my mom to come over to mine Salem, and Salem's in the kitchen having a yogurt.
Woo! Dad!
Salem,
Wow!
why is your yogurt everywhere but in your tummy?
Woo! Whoa!
Yeah, no, there's no yogurt on my belly. Yeah, cancel that, Mama. Hold on. You got yogurt on your eyelashes, like really, Salem? Oh, thank God Mom's here. Hi, Grandma. Let me see your hands, please. She's coming.
What did you eat for breakfast? Ooh, what is it?
Yogurt.
Yogurt. Ooh, what kind of mess is that? Here.
I need some more warm water. Yeah, it's supposed to be 26 today.
Yeah, it's summer. You don't need any clothes on.
Really? And I'm gonna be in hospital pushing out baby.
Oh God, which one do you want? Pick a lane and stay in there.
I like to enjoy the weather too. Well,
hopefully
tell them to put your hospital
bed outside.
Could you imagine the show? Oh my God. Okay, well, I need to finish getting ready. I need a shower and stuff. I'm not gonna go to the hospital with a dirty pum like.
Ready to push out the dirty pum.
So I guess I'll see you guys in a little bit. So it gets to the point where everybody's like, when is this baby coming? Like, you've been in labor all day. Now it's evening time. It's dark outside. Like, where is she? So Shooter's like, he's gonna take a nap. So we both go upstairs and I'm trying to lay down too, but I can't take a nap because I'm in that much pain. Like, the pain is not nappable, okay? You cannot sleep during this kind of pain. Shooter's asleep in the bed. I'm having contractions. My mom keeps coming upstairs to check on me. My stomach looks like every time I'm having a contraction, my stomach just looks hard as a rock. Like, I honestly can't even explain it to you or describe it to you how it really, like, how it looks. But it was so tight every time I would have a contraction. And so still, it's like 7:30 p.m. My mom's like, call your midwife. And I keep telling her no. So I now have like a contractions app on my phone to monitor my contractions. I downloaded it from, like, I think shortly before I had gone into labor. The first contraction lasted 1 minute and 30 seconds, but there was 12 minutes and 54 seconds in between. Then I had another contraction, and it lasted 2 minutes and 57 seconds, but then there was 18 minutes and 23 seconds between that contraction and my next contraction. Then the next one lasted 2 minutes and 9 seconds, and then there was 7 minutes and 25 seconds between that one and the next one. Then it lasted only 43 seconds. Then there was 6 minutes and 56 seconds between that contraction and the next one. Then the next contraction lasted 2 minutes and 29 seconds. That is a long time to be having a contraction. So keep in mind, the rule that I'm supposed to be following is every 5 minutes for 1 minute long, lasting for an hour. That's the rule I was supposed to be following. But if you're listening to these times, none of my contractions are lasting a minute. They're either going longer than a minute or shorter than a minute. But most of the time, they last longer than a minute. And then a lot of times, they would start overlapping. And it was starting to remind me of when I was in labor with Salem. The only thing is, I was already in the hospital at that point. And if I needed to get any kind of drugs, I was able to. But at home, I had nothing. That contraction lasted 2 minutes, 29 seconds. And then there was 11 minutes and 8 seconds between that contraction and the next one. So my contractions got close together and then they started to get further apart. And so this is why I was refusing to call the midwife, because if she told me anything other than what I wanted to hear, I was gonna fucking lose it. I'm in pain, I'm frustrated, and I want my baby out. The next contraction lasted 1 minute and 12 seconds. And then between that one and the next one, it was 8 minutes and 14 seconds. Then we had 6 minutes and 44 seconds, and that last contraction lasted 6 minutes and 32 seconds because they were starting to overlap. So as soon as the contraction ended, it would just start over again. Usually you'll get like some time in between the contractions, but I was not experiencing that, and I was in so much pain, and I'm laboring at home in my bed. That's not what the plan was supposed to be, because I was GBS positive, which meant I was supposed to get penicillin I was supposed to get 2 or 3 bags of penicillin before delivering my child. And I also was opting to get epidural. With my first pregnancy, I had always planned to get epidural. Like, it was in my birthing plan. But I was planning on waiting it out as long as possible. So what happened with my first pregnancy was when they asked me if I wanted to consider epidural, I was about at 7 centimeters, and then the doctor didn't get into my room until about damn 9 centimeters, okay? I got the epidural late with my last pregnancy, but it helped to slow it down, and it helped to relieve the pain. And keep in mind, Salem was 8 pounds and 5 ounces, so I wasn't trying to deliver her naturally, okay? And the laughing gas was trash, so we didn't want that again. And I also had morphine shot with her, which took the edge off and helped me sleep with my first pregnancy. But my midwife had told me I'm not allowed to have morphine with the second pregnancy because the births tend to go a lot quicker. It might make the baby too sleepy. So no morphine for this pregnancy. So I already knew I would take laughing gas, but I also wanted my epidural as soon as possible because anything can happen where your anesthesiologist is not available and then you're up shit's creek. So I wanted my epidural ASAP. I'm in bed, I'm at home, I'm in excruciating pain, and my mom insists I call the midwife. So I said, okay, but she's just gonna tell me that my contractions are not close enough together. I guess I could have just lied to her and told her they've been happening for this amount of time, but I'm not a liar, so I didn't lie. So I told her, I said, listen, I started laboring at 7:30 this morning. My contractions are not following the rule book, so I know they're supposed to be 5 minutes apart, lasting for 1 minute, for an hour long, but that's not what's happening right now. They're very sporadic. Sometimes they fall into that category and then they fall out of that category. But a lot of the times they're lasting for way longer. So then I tell her about this app. I tell her about the app and I tell her like the times in between, and I tell her how long the contractions are lasting for. She's like, yeah, I don't think your contractions are close enough together. So I think you should just try to sleep it off. And in my head, I'm like, bitch, you don't think I've been trying to sleep? Like, she's like, take 2 Gravol, take 2 Tylenol, and then, you know, keep monitoring to see blah, blah, blah. So this bitch is really basically telling me, bitch, you're not in labor, stay your ass at home. That's what I heard, okay? That's all I fucking heard. Because I'm in bed, shaking my freaking leg, trying not to die, and this lady is on the phone telling me about 2 Gravol and 2 Advil. What is that doing for me? Anyway, I had already taken the Gravol and the Advil before or Tylenol, before she had even told me that. So I said, okay. I got off the phone with this bitch, and I went, I continued to lay down, and I said to my mom, I told you. This is what I told you she was gonna say. And that's why I didn't want to call her. All day, I did not want to call this lady because I knew she was going to piss me off. And these moments are really bittersweet because you're in labor. You're like, okay, it's go time. The baby's coming. But at the same time, you're in fucking pain. Like, I cannot even express to you guys how much pain you're in when you're in labor. If you've not experienced it, I can't say it's something you want to experience, but it's something that you have to experience to understand what I'm talking about. It's not a fucking game. It's not a joke. So, being that I was laboring without drugs the first time for so long, I already knew I didn't want to experience that part again. I knew that I wanted my epidural as soon as I got to the hospital. So to be laboring at home in my bed and experiencing that, I was just having flashbacks, and I'm like, this is not right. I get off the phone with her. That call, I made it at like 8:39. I get off the phone with her. I'm laying in the bed. I start to feel mad sick, like, excuse me, like I'm gonna throw up. I don't know if you guys know when you're gonna throw up, but I get like tingly mouth before I'm gonna throw up. So I've always known my whole life I'm about to throw up. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why am I gonna puke right now? But the problem was I was experiencing a contraction at the time. I was experiencing a very intense contraction at the time that I felt like I needed to throw up. So I was trying to hold in my vomit and let the contraction pass so I could actually have the strength to get out of my bed to scramble to the bathroom so that I could throw up in a bag, because I didn't want vomit in my bed on my carpet. Like, I didn't want vomit in my room. Like, ew. So I let the contraction go through. And that's the thing too, you can't resist your contractions or they'll hurt more. You literally have to let them you have to breathe through them and just like let them pass. But no matter how much breathing you're doing, no matter how much woo-saws, it's going to hurt, okay? So I make it to the bathroom. Usually in my garbage pail, I have bags at the bottom underneath bags. And so I had taken out the one that was filled with garbage and I put it to the side. And I reached in the fucking bin to grab a bag. I pull out a bag. There's a hole in the bottom of it. I'm like, I'm not throwing up at this. Mind you, my body's ready to throw up now, okay? So I grab another bag, and there's a hole in that one too. I said, this is not my effing day. I grab a third bag. There's no hole in it. I sit on the toilet. Oh, I pull my pants down. I sit on the toilet. And I start to throw up, and I'm like in the bathroom, like, what the fuck? I'm freaking out in the bathroom. I'm like, ugh. I'm throwing up. I'm having a contraction on the toilet. You guys, as I'm throwing up, I hear a pop.